Hello, this is Wmpyr, here to talk to you guys about disengagement. Um, when it comes to self-defense, there's many ideas out there. There's all kinds of people, all kinds of instructors teaching many different things. And for me, if you want to learn my methods, the absolutely most important thing that I teach is disengagement. Okay, when it comes to self-defense, that is my most important component to disengage, right? And like I said, there's many different ideas when it comes to self-defense, and at the end of the day, that's a good thing. You want different ideas. However, I do think that it is important that you have thoroughly thought out your position, and it needs to be logical, it needs to be reasonable, it needs to be very sound in your argument. Why? And like I said, for me, it's all about disengagement. And um, if I'm not trying to make everybody think this way, and if everybody all united and we only had one way of thinking for self defense, this is where I would go. There's something not right here. This is not good. What happened? Did we all get brainwashed? That's a bad thing. So, like I said, it's good to have different ideas. However, we need to once again have thoroughly thought out our own arguments, right? So, for example, when I look at Captain Fairbairn, who I greatly respect, his idea for self defense is CQC. He pretty much developed the concept, the blueprint for CQC, which is close quarters combat. That is the total opposite of what I teach, which is disengagement, right? So then it sounds like we're in complete contradiction. We are in total argument with each other, but it's not, because I look at his methods I've been studying for a long time now, since 1994, when I first discovered his book, Get Tough. I fell in love with it, I was blown away, and to this day, I am continually impressed. The more that I study it, the more I'm like, wow, this guy's amazing, kind of thing. The material is gold. And um, so, yeah, I am not in contradiction or argument with Captain Fairbairn, in my opinion. To me, both of our ideas fit well together. The reason why he teaches CQC, close quarters combat, is what he's teaching is for the absolute worst situation. Okay, and in his situation, he's talked about this is for war. In Get Tough, it says this is for war. This is for soldiers, and he also, for civilians, this is for when the enemy country has invaded you. Please use this. And the third situation he's talking about is you're walking a dark alley by yourself, and this individual, or possibly individuals, is coming at you, and it's very, very clear what they're gonna do. So this is a kill or be killed situation, and in that case, he's teaching you gotta assault them. You gotta take them out before they take you out. Assault first, fast, and keep going. Don't stop. That kind of thing. So that's what he teaches, right? Is total engagement, total commitment. What I'm teaching is the total opposite of that. And the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing instead of CQC is, it's like, dude, if you agree with him, why aren't you teaching CQC? The reason is because what I'm teaching you guys is what I can do and what you can do, what everybody can do at the highest possible percentage. My goal is to survive. Why is it to survive? Because my goal is to survive because Filipino martial arts, Kali, Eskrima, Arnis, those three out of many other Filipino martial arts. Kia, Kali, Escrima, Arnis, to me, when I look back on the history of it, the missing ingredient, the lost art, the espada y daga portion, to me reflects back to disengagement, or at least to the very point of picking your opponent apart from a distance. And in order to do that, you have to disengage first, in my opinion. So if you don't have disengagement, you cannot pick your opponent apart from a distance. If you just try to pick your opponent apart from a distance without disengagement, at some point you are going to end up in closer and closer and completely engaged with the opponent. So disengagement goes together with that. And then furthermore, the Filipino culture, and I believe this is where the Filipinos really, really fell in love with Espada y Daga when the Spanish brought it to them. And they were like, man, this works with us, like our core, to our soul. It works with our spirit. Their spirit is guerrilla warfare. The Filipinos were known to be expert guerrilla warfare fighters. It's in their DNA. And I guess it's because they lived in a country that was composed of over 7,000 islands. Talk about guerrilla warfare. It's perfect for that. So it's in their environment, it's in their blood, and they're amazing at it, you know? So, anyway, guerrilla warfare is pretty much hit and run. Throughout history, when you look up guerrilla warfare, a lot of it is hit and run tactics. It basically means unconventional fighting, but uh, a lot of times it boils down to hit and run. Why? That's because survival is the most important thing. If you are going to survive, you need to do hit and run. If you fully engage and go to war with the other army, you could get wiped out. So they are forced to, because they didn't have enough numbers in soldiers, technology, for many reasons. They were outgunned in many ways. So then they had no choice but to do hit and run tactics. They had to do guerrilla warfare tactics. And the heart of guerrilla warfare is survival. If you don't survive, you can't do hit and run. So it's all about survival. And that's why I teach disengagement. Disengagement is hit and run, essentially. It goes well with that. You need it together. And disengagement enables you to actually do hit and run. It's a portion of it. So that's what I teach you guys, is disengagement, okay? And like I said, it is the highest percentage for you normal people, for you and me to actually do. Remember, Captain Fairbairn is an amazing soldier. He actually, I don't know how much soldier experience he has, but he was, for sure, without a doubt, an amazing police officer, and then he became an instructor of soldiers. But he was in the British Royal Marines before police, if memory serves me correct. So anyway, yeah, so he is a soldier. My bad. Let me just, I just meant a soldier who's been in the battlefield or not. I am not sure of that part for him, but he has been in the battlefields of Shanghai back when it was one of the most dangerous places on the planet Earth, um, and even in historically. So, very, very dangerous place, right? Anyhow, what he doesn't tell you is that his method is a very small percentage of success. So it's the opposite of mine. And so if you're using it, if you're in that situation, first of all, the situation itself is rare, where you need to kill or be killed. That is very, very rare. My situation, where you need to disengage, is a dime a dozen. If you've been in a conflict, chances are you should have disengaged. There was no need to fight. You should have disengaged, 99% of the time, maybe 99.99999, much higher percentage. So the situation itself, mine is higher, his is much, much lower. This doesn't contradict. It just says that they're two different things so they could work together. I could use Captain Fairbairn's method in my arsenal. I could have it for that rare occasion. But most of the time I'll be using my method of survival, of disengagement, so they work together. The other part is if you do use his method, you may not succeed because this is the last line. This is the last straw. And that's the truth. It's that bad of a situation. It's either kill or be killed. You use it and it could go either way. So his method is a small percentage in many ways, is what I'm saying. And he himself discovered that. He discovered that when he almost died, at least on two occasions, when he was working in Shanghai Municipal Police. When he was doing that, he was in critical condition twice that I'm aware of. It could have been more, but two times is mentioned many times. And he was in very, very bad situation. Now I don't know exactly, like, did he go up against three guys with a knife, or was it more than that, or was it just one guy, that was really good? I have no idea, but yeah, it was supposedly really bad. So I believe his answer to that was SWAT team and special forces, which he is accredited to developing the blueprint for both. So, people have asked me many times, well, what if you're in a confined space and you cannot disengage? What if there's three of them? What if they have a knife? What if this? What if that? You're up against the wall. What if you're sitting down in a car? I've been asked a lot of different questions, you know, and like I said, I want you guys to first start with what you can do. Why not? Let's work with stuff that is doable right now that you can do, rather than something that maybe 20, 30 years of practice and you still won't be able to do it. So if they ask Captain Fairbairn, well, what are you going to do in this situation? In these really bad situations, are you going to use gutter fighting? And I believe his answer is, well, if I can, it would be SWAT team. If I can, it would be special forces. So, well, like I said, I strongly, firmly believe that his method of gutter fighting, as amazing as it is extremely limited, and it is obviously not foolproof. And nothing is foolproof. Mine isn't either. My disengagement isn't foolproof either, but my percentage is way higher than his. Not because his is not as well made, it's just because of the situation that he chose, because he's choosing the worst of the worst. So that's the difference right there. So I do believe that his method will work 100% compatible with mine, and I firmly believe that I needed to study his method in order to develop mine, in order to understand combat fully. I needed to study and understand his. And I saw it and I was like, whoa, these are really bad situations he's talking about. It's also rare, so then it doesn't apply to what I'm really looking for, you know. Not to say that I don't have his stuff in my arsenal, because in those extremely bad situations, sure, I really feel like nobody does it better, and I would 100% rely on his methodology. Of course, I made it my own. I've had enough time to study his stuff and make it into my own methods, and I have. But yeah, at the end of the day, mine is just a variation of what he developed. So I give him 110% the credit. So in a kill or be killed situation, I'm using his method, even though, like I said, I've made it my own, and it is different technique wise. It is different, but um, principles and concepts and theory wise, I believe it's completely stays true to his. And same with what I'm teaching my B1 Escrima. I believe I've made it my own. So technique wise and the way that I teach it and stuff like that is different from, very different from today's Filipino martial arts, but principles, theories, and things like that, I believe, is 100% true to the original FMA Kia Kali Escrima Arnis, in my opinion. So anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for listening, and take care, folks.